10864. Station's your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
The following is a presentation of Learfield. Welcome to Duck Insider.
Our whole athletic department, there's a level of expectations of success.
Throw, catch, touchdown, Oregon.
He can run and slam.
He's back out for a three. Left wing is good.
In the air to center, back at the wall. It's out of here.
Really excited that we get to rep our Ducks and hopefully come back to Eugene with some championships.
Indoor track and field national champion.
Oregon repeats as the Pac-12 champion.
And for the fourth time in the last 6 years, the Ducks are Pac-12 champions.
We have so many teams that are excelling right now, and it's really fun to be a part of.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, here's Joey Mack.
Thank you. It's a good day to be a Duck as Oregon football takes down UCLA. That was a little bit closer than we would have liked for comfort at the end, but the Ducks got it done, and that's a great way to start off a Monday. We're going to hear from Oregon football head coach Mario Cristobal. We've got some postseason honors and some during-the-season honors to tell you about. More on that in a second after Oregon beat UCLA. And the news of the day is that Oregon and Washington, the kickoff time will be decided in a 6-day selection window. That means that we know Oregon will play Colorado at 12:30 on Fox coming up on Saturday, but we're going to have to wait to find out when Oregon will play Washington. That'll be another 6-day window selection. That's just the way the TV contracts work, and well, we're all just along for the ride. 10:30 pregame show for us on Saturday across the Oregon Sports Network, and that 12:30 kickoff back at home at Autzen Stadium. The Ducks, also for Oregon soccer, won on a golden goal yesterday. We're going to talk to their head coach, Graeme Abel, coming up here in the Country Financial Studio, as well as Mario Cristobal's near 20-minute press conference. And then we'll start today, though, with some takeaways from Oregon and UCLA that saw the Ducks deal with a number of different injuries. Well, one guy that's not injured is Sean McPherson. He's here.
Injured. I am a little bit injured. My knee's been bugging me.
From what?
Running.
Well,
but I'm not. I can't compare myself to football players.
I don't. Wow. I thought you were gonna say like, yeah, on the road trip I banged my knee and like
no.
I'm on the injured reserve because of the road trip. Sean was down calling the match for Oregon volleyball against UCLA on Friday. Also football covering that for KWVA, and of course Sean is our what do we decide? OSN broadcast intern extraordinaire.
Extraordinaire is the important word there.
Yes. OSN broadcast intern extraordinaire. We saw it early though, Sean. This was a game that the Ducks had to deal with some injuries, and as Mario Cristobal said, they thought Alex Forsyth was going to be able to go. He wasn't able to go, so the Ducks had to start TJ Bass at left tackle. They saw Dawson Jaramillo playing both guard spots after Jackson Powers-Johnson got the start. He then exited, and the Ducks are hoping to have him back as soon as possible. Versatility of the offensive line was on display early, and that was not necessarily something that we anticipated heading into it.
It was really impressive what the offensive line did against UCLA, probably the best running defense in the Pac-12. And Oregon, despite not having a lot of yardage, they were well below their season average for running yards on the season or in this game, was able to pass the ball really well, and they were able to score in the end zone. I mean, Travis Dye's stat line was impressive. I mean, 4 touchdowns in 8 carries or something along those lines. I think he scored on 4 straight touches.
Which is an NCAA record, actually. Scoring on 4 straight touches is an NCAA record for Travis Dye.
So credit to Alex Mirabal, credit to the coaching staff for what the offensive line was able to do in the red zone. And against UCLA, who, again, was not an easy task for some backup offensive linemen to come in and do as well a job as they did against that team.
Yeah, so that Oregon rushing attack, Anthony Brown ends up carrying the ball 6 times for 85 yards, had that long touchdown run that really I think Ryan Walk and DJ Johnson are responsible for. Shout out to those guys. DJ Johnson, of course, playing on both sides of the ball, Sean. That's been kind of cool to see. Travis Dye, though, officially 14 carries, 35 yards. That's only 2.5 yards per carry. But he scored 4 touchdowns. And, hey, that's what you got to do. And I thought, maybe the biggest storyline as we go through some of the recap of this game, because the Ducks got down early, Sean. It was the largest deficit of the season for the Ducks against UCLA. Got down 14-0. Then they rattled off a couple really nice drives. And really, the beginning of the game wasn't great. The end of the game, you could argue, wasn't great for the Ducks. But the middle of the game was where Oregon made its money.
Absolutely. And Mario Cristobal said before this game leading into it that the third quarter is where the Ducks have been struggling all season long. The third quarter's been their weak quarter. I thought that was their best quarter against UCLA. And the interesting part of this game is it was a roller coaster of emotions. Like, I thought when the UCLA went up 14-0, a lot of Duck fans, I think it would be fair to assume this might be a rough game. And then when the Ducks go up, I believe it was, 17 points. 34-17 was the exact score early fourth quarter after Anthony Brown's 43-yard touchdown. Right. I think a lot of Duck fans and even myself were, thinking that the Ducks were going to run away with it, and instead we got a classic game that
we got what we got.
We got what we expected. I think a really close game, the 1-point spread going into it.
Yeah, so a couple other takeaways for me. I mean, I thought that Anthony Brown really spread the wealth. 11 different receivers caught a ball, which is impressive. But that being said, I think the last 2 weeks, Devin Williams has emerged as maybe the go-to guy. I don't think Oregon had that go-to receiver throughout the season. And I talked about how, hey, it's nice to have depth, but you'd like to have those go-to receivers. Well, Devin Williams is that. Last week he was that, and then this past week, or last week against Cal, I should say, and then this past week against UCLA, 5 catches for 80 yards, had that big one for 32 yards, and that was a heck of an adjustment, by the way, on that ball. Just a clear one-on-one advantage that he won. I feel like Devin Williams took a real step forward, showing that he can be a real difference maker for this team. And, Sean, that's important, especially because the Ducks needed to hit some explosion plays, and he helped them do that.
Yeah, it was Coach Moorhead today that said going into this game, they knew that they were going to win it. They needed to pass the ball better. And what did the Ducks do? They have a season high by far of nearly 50 yards, 293 total passing yards. Anthony Brown played great. He threw a couple of interceptions, but I thought that could have been his best performance. 293 passing yards. He rushed for a big touchdown. He had 80 yards on the ground. And you mentioned it, Devin Williams, I think, is the piece that's kind of stepping up as the wide receiver one. He was, by stats, last year the wide receiver one as well. And Johnny Johnson III, Micah Pittman, those guys played really well too.
A couple other takeaways. I mean, I think taking care of the ball always going to be important. They want to win the turnover battle. Well, Chris Hudson fumbled for the second time in 2 weeks. Ducks also had Camden Lewis miss a kick for the first time all year on a PAT that hit the upright. But he responded after that, which was good to see. I also thought as the game moved forward, I know a lot of people want to ask about that interception that was thrown by Anthony Brown late in the game. Kind of gave UCLA life, and it was one of many situations where UCLA actually had short field position. Well, as you're going to hear Mario Cristobal say coming up in his weekly press conference just a moment here on the show, that's a play call the Ducks would like back. They were trying to play it aggressive, didn't work out, and that's a play call that they would like back. So look, you still are looking for a perfect game if you're the Ducks, aren't you?
Yeah. I mean, there was definitely some weak moments. There was some mistakes. You didn't even mention the blocked punt
that
happened that nearly that did lead to a touchdown to put UCLA at 14-0. But yeah, the way Joe Moorhead described it today is, Mario Cristobal was on the phone with him on the sideline saying, hey, let's continue to be aggressive. Again, Moorhead was in the booth once again for this one. And so what do? They dial up a pass to the end zone where I thought Devin Williams was open. I thought if it was a better pass, that is a touchdown, and the game's over. Anthony Brown kind of short-armed it. He put it in a bad spot, and it gave UCLA life, but then the defense stepped up.
And if you're UCLA, you're saying, well, it could have been 3 interceptions, right? Because there were 2 that got negated by offsides by the defense if you're UCLA. All in all, Oregon played, I thought, really well really well in the second quarter and really well in the third quarter. Look, the numbers backed that up. They scored 14 points, outscored UCLA 14-3 in the second quarter. They outscored UCLA 13-0 in the third quarter. And, Sean, UCLA had 7 yards of total offense in the third quarter.
They completely stopped the run. I mean, so UCLA, I think a lot of Oregon fans were getting glimpses of 2009 to 2012 with what Chip Kelly was doing with that hurry-up offense in the first quarter. They were running all over Oregon, but then the Ducks, credit to Tim DeRuyter, credit to the coaching staff, they made their adjustments. They completely stopped the run. Zach Charbonnet, Britton Brown, those guys were not as big of factors later in the game. It felt like every time Charbonnet, who has been dubbed as one of, if not the best running back in the Pac-12, he kind of got stuffed throughout this game, Joey. I mean, besides those first couple of drives, the Ducks really, it felt like every time UCLA ran it, he went nowhere.
Yeah. Ducks outscored UCLA 34-3 from the second quarter through the start of the fourth quarter. First time an Oregon team has won at least 4 one-possession games in a season since 2009 because the Ducks won a one-possession game for the 4th time this season. So, look, I know you'd like to blow everybody out. If you're a great team, you win every game, 60-0, right? Ducks are winning close games. I think there's some value in them playing in these close games. Now, this one maybe shouldn't have been as close as it ended up being, but look around the country, and another pair of top 10 teams lost, just score one more than the other team.
Absolutely. And now, I think, in my opinion, Oregon's 2 biggest games have came on the road this season. They go and take care of Ohio State in a close game, and they take care of UCLA in a close game on the road, and that wasn't the easiest atmosphere to play on. I mean, the Duck fans did a great job traveling south to LA, but still, it was a lot noisier than Stanford was, and Oregon was still able to get the job done and, once again, win in a big game under Mario Cristobal, which I think they've done. Cristobal's always delivered game plan-wise in some of the biggest games of his tenure.
Yeah, that's right. And the Ducks now back at home against Colorado, 12:30 kickoff. Finally, Anthony Brown, 29 of 39, 296 yards. Not bad, Now, the interceptions, he'd certainly like them back. Had a couple interceptions, would like them back. And it could have been more if it weren't for those offsides calls. Yeah, I think that he would definitely – there's still room for growth, which is exciting for this team. Now, they got to be able to go out and do it. The season high, though, as you mentioned, Sean, 296 yards and rush for at least 5 touchdowns in a game for the first time since 2018. And now that's something that the Ducks really want to do. They want to be able to run the ball. They want to be able to establish the run, and they've been able to do that. Also of note, we have some weekly honors for you because, well, the Ducks have just been really good, particularly defensively. By the way, for the Pac-12 honors, Oregon is leading the weekly recognition from the Pac-12. No other team has as many weekly honors as the Ducks do because Kayvon Thibodeau is the Pac-12 Defensive Player and the Pac-12 Defensive Lineman of the Week, and Noah Sewell repeated as the Pac-12 Freshman of the Week, which calling him a freshman is just not
Those
fair.
2 guys are incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen it from Noah Sewell all season long. We've seen it from Kayvon Thibodeau in past seasons. But, man, Thibodeau, it was the way he came off the floor or came off the field in that game, he was exhausted.
Yep.
He said on ESPN he was just exhausted even in his post-game press conference, and rightfully so. I mean, it was he had 9 total tackles, which was a career high. I believe most of those were solo. 4.5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and Noah Sewell did what he's been doing all season long. So both those guys were just, once again, superstars in this Oregon defense.
9 total tackles for Sewell. He's the Pac-12 Freshman of the Week. 6 solo, a tackle for loss, 1 pass breakup, which was a big one, by the way, when he jumped up at the line of scrimmage. Kayvon Thibodeau, 9 tackles, 8 solo, 2 sacks, 4.5 tackles for loss, and a forced fumble, and only 1 quarterback hurry. I don't know if I buy that. That's a tough one if you're a statistician to try to keep, but I don't know if I'd buy that. We're going to hear from Mario Cristobal and his weekly press conference coming up. But first, the 34-31 win, as called by none other than Jerry Allen and Mike Jorgensen. Our game recap.
Dorian Thompson. Robinson pressured, throws, and it is picked. And DJ James dives forward and picks that ball up off the turf. Snap, give it a dive, penalty flag fly. He's in the end zone, touchdown. On 1st and goal, give it a dive, going right. Cut it back up and in. Going right, there was nothing there. Turned on his blinkers, hit the brakes, and went left. Brown, snap, give it to Dye. Dives it right up the middle, no doubter. No doubter for Travis Dye. The Dye to his left. Not surprised, give him the ball and let him walk it into the end zone. His 4th touchdown of the day. Back on a keeper. Right up the middle goes AB. He's open. 30, 20. He's going to score. Anthony Brown, touchdown Oregon. Quarterback draw up the middle. And UCLA had no chance. Garbers. Ready with a snap. Quick throw out. Intercepted. It's picked. Down the sideline and out of bounds. DJ James has given it back to Oregon. And that is all I have to say about that. I'm laying down and taking a nap. I got nothing left.
Jerry Allen and Mike Jorgensen on the call. So DJ James, though, 2 interceptions for him. It was awesome to see DJ James have that. And then should mention, Travis Dye almost didn't play in this game, which is amazing. Had a migraine pregame. Almost didn't play, and boy, how different it could have been if Byron Cardwell, Seven McGee, and Trey Benson would maybe had to have carried the load. And what a day Travis Dye had. He found pay dirt. That's what matters.
Yeah, Travis Dye with his brother in attendance, by the way. It was really cool on ESPN to see him finish his interview, and then ESPN kind of just kept the camera on him. He goes and hugs his brother, and then he goes and hugs the one and only Justin Herbert, who was also in attendance. But, yeah, Jerry called that game great. I love that last call. That's all I have to say about that. I'm going to go take a nap. And it was really cool. I was inches away from Jerry, just on the other side of the window. Student radio, and then on the left, it was you guys.
Yeah, Jerry, I will confirm he did not take a nap, though, post-game. He did not. We had a plane to catch, and, this is what happened. So Kayvon Thibodeau, Noah Sewell, Pac-12 honors this week. And Verone McKinley named a semifinalist for the Jim Thorpe Award. McKinley, I talked with him post-game on the post-game show, and he was awesome. He said, I asked him, if you're the general, then what's KT after a performance like this? And he said, well, that's President Thibodeau. So I like that. Semifinals for the Jim Thorpe Award given out to the best defensive back in college football. 8th player in program history to be named a Thorpe Award semifinalist. Ifo Ekpreolomu is the lone Duck to ever be a finalist for the Jim Thorpe Award. Verone McKinley is tied for the Pac-12's the Pac-12's lone representative on the Thorpe Award is tied for second in the nation this season with 4 interceptions. That's Verone McKinley, and good luck to Verone. Hopefully in the next few weeks we'll find out if he's going to be a finalist for the Jim Thorpe Award. When we come back, Sean McPherson joining us. I'm Joey Mack. We're going to hear from Mario Cristobal. Nobody really cares what we think, Sean. Let's hear from the big man next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear Exit Strategy, no matter which Toyota you choose, there's an exit from the ordinary to match. See you soon, Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealer or Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear Exit Strategy, no matter which Toyota you choose, there's an exit from the ordinary to match. See you soon, Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealer or Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
Hey, so what's a great way to spread awareness that driving high is illegal everywhere? A catchy song, of course.
You can run, but you can't drive high. You can run, but you can't drive high.
Friendly reminder, don't drive high. If you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack and joined by Sean McPherson today, recapping Oregon UCLA, now getting ready for Colorado. 12:30 kickoff coming up on Fox, 10:30 pregame show for us here on the Oregon Sports Network. And let's hear from the head man, Mario Cristobal. His weekly press conference just wrapped up if you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Really proud of our guys for the resiliency shown in Saturday's win, a real good win, on the road, and enjoyed it. And then got right back to work with film review and practice yesterday, really productive, and all sights set on Colorado, getting ready to come back to Autzen Stadium and play in front of our people, and really excited about that opportunity. Questions, please.
Mario, I wanted to get the status on several guys who went down during the course or appeared to incur some injuries. Jackson Powers-Johnson, Stephen Jones, Troy Franklin, Mace, Dante Manning, and Jordan Happel.
Alex Forsythe is going to be day-to-day. I mean, he was really close to playing. I think he may have been able to play, and he looked good yesterday. Now, we felt that way last week, and we had a little bit of a setback pregame. So hopeful, I just wouldn't count on it. I think Jackson Powers-Johnson may be a couple of weeks. It is an ankle sprain, so x-rays are negative, so we're very hopeful and also relieved that it wasn't something more serious. Stephen Jones is good to go. Mace Foon is good to go. Jalen Redd's good to go. Troy Franklin will be good to go. Dante Manning's good to go. Happel might miss a week, but I think that's the most that he will miss.
Coach, you really had to kind of mix and match the offensive line a bit that last game just because some injuries and whatnot, but they were pretty stout. What was your evaluation now you've had a chance to look at that film?
Coach Mirabal on the offensive line did a great job. We have had some guys that have been dinged up, and we shuffled some guys around, and other guys had also earned some playing time. We want to get those guys in the game as well. The one thing that was a surprise was the pregame issue with Alex Forsyth, and we adjusted, and the guys went in there and they played their tails off. They really did. You got to realize this outfit that we played, they bring so much pressure, and even brought more pressure than expected or than they usually do, in the form of sometimes +1 pressures where they'd have more guys coming than you can block. So you have to sift some stuff, and you have to get a hand on 2 guys with one of your offensive linemen. It just provide enough time. Not only the offensive line, but Anthony Brown was also really good, and sometimes having to redirect protections when they were bluffing one side and bringing it from another. So overall, just really proud of that group. And again, they're not into praise. They just want to get back to work and get better.
The second interception Anthony had there in the fourth quarter, what was the reasoning and decision behind throwing the ball in that down? Was that kind of going for the knockout blow? Because if you score there, the game's over. And then I think you mentioned it might have been a non-quarterback issue. Just wondering more on kind of what went wrong on that play.
Well, 2 things. Number one is, we did want to be aggressive. We'd like to have that play called back. Just being honest, we just analyzed as a staff. There's one we wanted to score. We felt we were going to have to score, that this was not going to be we want to get to 4-minute offense when it was 4 minutes. We did do that, close to 2 minutes. We needed one more first down, but we felt that we could score and wanted to score. We'd like to have that play called back. The throw wasn't what we wanted either. So not a good play and not the call we want.
It seems like every week we're seeing more and more of Jeffrey Bassa. Just can you maybe speak to how he played against UCLA, and then also just his overall growth? Because it seems like he's getting better and better each week.
Tremendous growth, tremendous potential, unselfishness. I know we've mentioned that before. Just starting to feel more and more like second nature to him, using his hands well, striking blockers, getting off blocks, hitting his gaps quicker, diagnosing plays quicker, playing with instincts. Thought he played well, and it was a game where your eyes were going to have to be really disciplined for a guy that's new at that position and playing that for us this year. He passed the test. He really did. Some days he'd like to have back, put his head down a couple of times, and all that traffic, right? You got guys going this way, fake handoff that way, quarterback pull this way, lineman pulling the other way. It's a lot. Really proud of him. The guy's really, really doing a good job and getting better every week.
You talk a little bit about facing adversity and injuries throughout the season in the post-game conference after UCLA's game. What is the most valuable aspect of that victory for you, and how would you say it will help your team going forward?
Oh, well, the most valuable part was just that, the fact that there have been a significant amount of injuries this year, that this was a conference game on the road against a team that was playing really well. That's, I think everybody, knows them for playing great offensive football and have known them for scoring lots of points and getting lots of yards. And our defense did a great job against their offense and holding them to 2.5 yards a carry. In 91 plays, they had under 400 yards of offense. So I think that's important to praise and to make note of. And at the same time, their defense was known for being very disruptive and creating a lot of negative plays. We had 1 sack and 1 negative play in 63 snaps, which is a pretty good ratio. We'd like for it to be even less than that. But to do that with a lot of mixing and matching parts on both sides of the ball and on special teams due to injuries, that's a part that you're really excited about because guys are continuing to step up and develop, and that bodes well for our future.
Hey, Mario, going back to the offensive line, I wanted to ask about Dawson and just how valuable it was to have a guy like that who could jump in at both guard spots and perform at a really high level for you guys.
Yeah, the Swiss Army knife guy, it's what he is. All tools. He's got them all. He could snap also, plays right tackle, left tackle. And the best part about it is, we teach our linemen to learn the game from the inside out, meaning at the center position, you have to know, right, exactly what the front is, what certain points mean on certain plays, all that kind of stuff, being able to redirect stuff, readjust stuff, repoint stuff. He understands the game that way from the inside out, and he's gotten the snaps at every single one of those positions. So he's been here a long time, been through a lot, battled some injuries, has developed his body. He's become an excellent football player, and his value was tremendous on Saturday.
Does he do anything that makes him more versatile and more valuable in kind of that fluid role than the other guys, if that makes sense?
Well, I think he just earned it. I think there's a lot of other guys that we have that play their positions really well. We have some guys that have more flexibility than others. Guys that are older typically do, right? Have a little bit more flexibility than others. But man, he's really, really smart. He understands leverage. He understands half position. He's got really good foot and body quickness, uses his hands well, very technical. His power's getting better all the time, you know? And, you know, the mullet, that's a whole different conversation. But aside from that, man, just a lot of positives with him and his development.
I didn't get the snap count, Mario, but I'm guessing that Ajax had his most reps potentially since 2018. How did you feel he played, and what does he mean to this defense outside of just dime, where, yes, he was in there for that, but especially after Mace went down, but what his presence means to freeing up KT and Swinson, and when all three of them together, obviously, that I think that's how you guys kind of drew it up.
Well, he's a really explosive athlete. We've focused on getting him just focus on one particular position, so he could really hone in and become not only more comfortable but more effective, more confident. And he's done that over the last 3 weeks. And he played well. He had some really good play. I mean, you know, the one, the naked boot, you know, the fourth down by DTR is one he'd like to have back, right? It was a hell of a cut by the quarterback. Now, I mean, he cut so hard, he almost slipped himself. But you got to know where your help is, right? You got to know you're the inside-out tackler, and you have a flat defender who's going to tackle him outside in. And that's the beauty of repetition, right? In the heat of battle, you know that, and you stay inside out. But he really did a great job playing with effort, playing with toughness and physicality. I mean, he's getting better every week. I mean, we really got to push him because sky's the limit for Adrian. And we're going to push him hard because the better he gets, the better chance this football team has to win. And I think every player deserves that. Every player deserves to be challenged to maximize their potential. This is his time now. And he's got to make it happen. And I'm confident that he'll respond and continue to get better every week.
Coach, you had 11 different players catch passes, and I think probably one of the better passing days that we've seen this season. After watching tape, what did you see from Anthony Brown and kind of the offense as a whole that allowed you to have so much success?
Well, we saw, number one, play design. Two, you know, they stack the box, and, you know, with what they bring up front and the issues that they cause up front, you're going to have to make plays in the back end. So him being able to diagnose coverages, get the ball out on time. I believe he was 29 of 39, so he was pretty accurate. A lot of balls, some he'd like to have back, and of course the interceptions were ones that, you know, were not good throws. But there's a lot of good plays and a lot of really good throws that he made that changed the game. Then he changed the game with his feet as well, you know, on the big run and some of the other runs. And just the threat of being able to run like that also has an impact on the defense and what you see. He also was a very good decision maker in the running game, which also impacted the game. So all in all, just a lot of really good execution by him, by our receivers, by our offensive line. The running backs in protection were very valuable. I'm sure you guys saw some of those clips. So we're starting to get more in sync, you know, and now we have to show just a greater determination for executing at a higher level, because there was more consistency. It's not all the way to where it needs to be. There is progress. We're excited about that. And it starts with the quarterback, the guys up front.
Well, there you have it. Mario Cristobal, part one of his interview on Monday with the media. Stay tuned for part two here on Duck Insider. You're listening to the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Jill, why don't you tell the class what you did this weekend?
Well, my dad and I went in search of some magical minnows and found a zillion of them in the stream from our lookout rock. Then my sister and I escaped from an evil slug king and went back to my super twig fort for safety. Then we told stories till it got dark, and the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Where were you, Jill?
We went to the forest. It's not that far away.
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
If a natural disaster comes knocking, how prepared is your family? You can't just close the door on earthquakes, floods, or hurricanes and hope they go away. That's why it's important to make a plan now. Ready.gov/plan has the tools and tips you need to prepare your family for an emergency. So if disaster shows up at your doorstep, you'll be ready. Visit ready.gov/plan and make a plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. We're in the Country Financial Studio. He's Sean McPherson. I'm Joey Mack. We're going to hear more from head coach Mario Cristobal. And Sean, one thing that sticks out to me, I think the Ducks have had a lot of depth, but the Ducks are still looking for some things that they can get better at, and we're hoping to see that against Colorado.
Yeah, Oregon's still looking for that complete game, even against UCLA. They showed a lot of glimpses of being a great team, but I think, maybe they played a complete game against Ohio State, but that's about it. Oregon looking for a dominant victory against the Colorado Buffaloes on Saturday. But here's Mario Cristobal in his second part of his press conference today with the media.
You guys have been so consistent on special teams, but a couple of mistakes there. On the punt block, can you help diagnose what happened there? And then was there an issue with the snap or anything on Camden's extra point? He's just been so consistent. I was curious if anything took place there.
None at all. The block punt is inexcusable. Miscount by the shield, the right shield. It's a very simple count and just miscounted it. Really, really upset with that one, but we'll fix it at the end of the day. If it didn't get done, we got to take that on as an entire organization and get better at it. And then the missed extra point was just, hit it poorly, bottom line, followed by a kickoff, uncharacteristic that went out of bounds. Now, what did we see after that? We saw a really good extra point, split the uprights, and we saw a ball get kicked 8 yards deep in the end zone. So, man, you never want mistakes. We know that, but you also want to see the type of response you get out of a player. And I thought Cam responded really well after the missed extra point.
I realize Forsyth's injury may have factored into this a little bit, but you started Bass at left tackle, and then you had some other shifting around a little bit. Just what led to, was that anything more than just Forsyth being out?
It was a lot of it due with Forsyth being out, and then, trying to keep we don't have our alignment on pitch count, but we were a little bit banged up and we were figuring out those pieces. It would take all day to explain that on this conference call, so I'll spare you the boring details of that. But we felt that we were going to have a nice rotation of guys that have played beside each other, maybe in different spots, but the matchups were going to fit. What we're running schematically was going to fit as well. And just watching tape, you had some guys grade out really, really high. That's hard stuff to block now. Again, I know I used the term Star Wars to describe their defense because, and I know some of you guys are probably too young to remember Star Wars was a good movie back in the day, but, it comes in all kinds of different ways at you. And you've got to have tremendous eye discipline, and your reaction time has got to be instantaneous. Those guys did a really good job protecting the quarterback for the most part.
Coach, we've seen some incidents around the country with some fan bases that have got their team in trouble with, throwings on the field, different things. What would you say as a program are the expectations of the Oregon fan base?
They provide the best atmosphere in all of college football. And look, I know I had I call it family time. I had a little family time with some of our fans over there in the Rose Bowl. And I appreciate that time because to me, if you're part of our fan base, if you're part of, a member of the organization, you're part of the family. And I probably could have used, I should have used a better choice of words, but we have the best atmosphere and advantage in the country in our home stadium, and family could talk like family. And so, we chopped it up a little bit to get ready to get back into Autzen and do what we do. Because look, there's going to be times where there are frustrating moments. We all have them. I get it. I totally get it. But I also fully understand, and I hope we all understand and could agree upon, that when Autzen is on fire, there is no comparison. And that's where we need it, week in and week out. And so it's a little family time.
You talked about how Devin has improved himself in practice, Mario, and obviously, again, another week where he has the performance and production that he had. Can you speak to that and how he's made that consistent now the last couple of weeks? But not just him, Micah, has he done things not just on the field during games, but has he taken things differently in practice to get the production that he got? Because that's, I think, near or close to a career high by way of reception.
Yeah, we're going to keep pushing both those guys. I'm going to say that, they're continuing to do things in practice that are affording them these opportunities, but there's more in the tank. There's more in the tank of both those guys. And the expectation is full throttle every single day, having a determination to continue to improve and push themselves and their teammates and do whatever it takes to improve. And I want to stay along those lines because I really appreciate these two guys. I know and I watch the level of potential and impact that they have. And to me, there's more in the tank, and we got to get it out of them. And I'm excited for them, excited about them. They're great people. They're on their way to being great players. And I want to do nothing more than to challenge them and help them in any way that we can. Because look, Coach McClendon, he doesn't do a good job. He does a great job with those guys. And we feel like every single week they're getting better and better. And we're doing it because we're demanding their very best, and we got to keep doing it.
Well, Noah Sewell and KT were both honored with individual awards this week. How does this affect your team's morale, and does it work as a motivation for their teammates?
I think it's always nice to be recognized, but I think these two guys, they're not motivated by that at all. I think these guys are motivated by team success. They're motivated by the 1-0 process, and they're taking that 1-0 process to a whole different level as it relates to every single rep. Heck, even everything they do. I mean, the way that they watch film, the way they attend meetings and take notes, everything with them is about 1-0. To them, that's just a byproduct of the process that they've taken on. So, but I think it's well-deserved. I think they're just scratching the surface in terms of those types of honors. And, we need continuous just elevation of their play to continue down the path of our goals.
Coach, it seemed like DJ Johnson played a little bit more offense and a little maybe less defense on Saturday than previous games. Is the return from some of those guys from injury kind of helped that or led to that? And kind of, is he splitting time still between both? Is that going to be the play the rest of the year?
Yeah, the return of those guys is part of it. And we also want to be fair to DJ. I mean, that guy has really been unselfish in trying to help us out. And if you make a switch like we did with him, once the season started, and have to learn the field, the boundary, first and second down calls versus multiple formations and personnel groupings, and the third down stuff, and do the tight end stuff. I mean, that's a lot. And he did a really good job doing all that. But now we want to do what's right for the team and what's right for him. So we have limited some of the defensive stuff with him, but we're also increasing and putting him back on track to the offensive stuff that he has been doing for the past couple of years. And it didn't take him much time to get right back in the groove, with what he is good at. You saw that block on Anthony's run and countless other ones. I mean, he changes the line of scrimmage. He's a really good wide receiver too. I mean, he stretches the field well and just does so many things and that impact the game. So we love having him on both sides of the ball.
To Colorado specifically, Mario, offensively, they have quite the running back duo, but the production just has not been there for them this season. What have you seen from their running game specifically? And obviously Landman is kind of the heart and soul of that defense, has been for some time. How do you try to mitigate his impact when he's a run stopper and he had 14 tackles against you guys a couple of years ago? He is what he is. But how do you try to mitigate his impact on that side?
He's a special player now. I mean, that's hard to find a guy that diagnoses plays as quickly as he does and triggers right now. Play action back to his drops, downhill in the run game, sideline to sideline. When he gets there, you feel it too. I mean, you see linemen getting off double teams quickly because they know that when they got to block him, they better bring some oomph with him because it's going to be a collision. He's complemented by some really impressive defensive linemen, big, long, strong guys, speed of power guys. On offense, I know that there's been games where they haven't found their way, but we've also seen what they did on the ground last year. I know they made a change at the offensive line position this year, a guy that I worked with back in the old place I was at, and he's a real good football coach. So we could expect their very best and a lot of the good stuff they have been doing over the past couple of years. So top three defense, in the conference. Really took that game down to the wire with Texas A&M, shut out Arizona. There's a lot of things on tape that we're very well aware of the caliber of talent that they have. Their punter really changes and flips the field. He is excellent. Return game is really good. Some talented wide receivers that we have recruited, defensive backs that we have recruited as well. So, we're very familiar with them. There's a lot of carryover personnel-wise from 2019. And, we actually started preparing for them in 2020 before the switch and everything else that went on. So we feel like we've got a pretty good jump on them game plan wise, but tremendous amount of respect for them, their players and their coaches.
Coach, back to Kayvon for a second. He said after the game that he was exhausted after playing his first full game of the year. A couple days later, how do you feel about how his body's holding up, how that ankle is, and how his conditioning is after missing so much time earlier in the season?
Oh, he's a pro about his approach. I think when you do this right, after every game, you should be exhausted. If you're doing it right, you should need to be borderline carried off the field. You expend yourself completely. And that's what he does, which is a testament to his competitive character and how badly he wants this team to win. And then our operation here, our sports science department, our nutritional aides and whatnot, we really attack recovery extremely well. Even with practice yesterday, which is, more of a get your body back practice, but we are running around. We are refraining from letting our bodies just sit still and accumulate soreness and letting the blood pool and all that stuff. So between his approach, our recovery process, the nutrition, we feel we're in a great spot physically.
That's Mario Cristobal, the Oregon football head coach. You met with the media today just a little while ago if you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour. And now we're going to move from one head coach to another, which means that Sean McPherson, we're kicking you out, buddy.
Hey, appreciate you having me on today.
Hey, you bet. Thanks for being here. And we're going to talk with you again later on in the week. Ducks getting ready for Colorado. Sean will be around, OSN broadcast intern extraordinaire. Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Now we're going to talk about a guy, though, that his team won on a golden goal this weekend. Oregon soccer head coach Graeme Abel will join us. The 9-2-5 and 4-2-2 Ducks. Going to talk with their head coach after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
Is that the sound of an ooey gooey cheesy crunchy slice of P-I-Z-Z-A? Obviously, but as good as that sounds, we think it can get even better. Oh yeah, that's the sound of a freshly opened fizz-filled Pepsi. The only thing that can take this flavor medley of crunchy dough, mouth-watering cheese, and savory sauce to the next level. How about another bite? Pepsi and pizza sound like a match made in heaven and taste even better. Pizza, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, son, how are you feeling?
I'm fine, Pops.
What's on your mind?
I can't explain it. Navigating without a compass, eyes waiting, started to wonder. Metamorphosis, the loss of who you thought you was.
When your kid can't find the language, help them find the lyrics. Listen to the Sound It Out album and get tips and tools to start a conversation at sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by Ad Council and Pivotal Ventures.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Good weekend for the Ducks. As we welcome you back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Graeme Abel, Oregon soccer head coach, is here. What's going on, buddy?
Good, back on Pacific time. So
Yeah, that's what you like to see. Yeah. That's what you like to see. Yeah, Mountain Time's weird. It throws me off every time. Only a 1 hour difference.
Any time change is weird. So.
You don't do well with the time changes? You got family, though, that are how many time zones away?
England, 8 right now.
8 hours?
So it helps watching the Premier League, though.
That's it, only 8 hours.
8 hours to the UK,
I thought it'd be more than that.
No. 4:30 in the morning, you get a good Premier League game that comes on.
That's
and
right.
That's 6:30 and then 8:30. So
you're an early riser anyway, right?
I am, yeah.
Yeah. So what's an average wake-up time for a coach?
Right now, 5 a.m.
And you're in bed at?
12:30.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Graeme Abel,
Right
Oregon
now.
Soccer
Yeah.
head coach joining us. Played Colorado to a draw on Thursday. A golden goal winner for Ali Cook and your squad against Utah on Sunday. You're now 9-2-5, 4-2-2. First ever program win in Salt Lake City, by the way. That's a tough place to play. And I got to tell you this. Ducks are tied now with the 1981 team. Tied their school record for their 9th shutout of the season, or with your 9th shutout of the season. Oregon's record through 16 games is its best since that 1981 squad went 12-1-3. So you're in the same. The point that I'm trying to make is if I can compare a squad to that 1981 Oregon soccer team, which is probably the best in program history, you guys must be doing something right. How have you handled that success so far? And you see things like that, and your players, I'm sure, see things like that, and you go, hey, we are pretty good, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, we've not deviated from how we've always been. It's day to day, and it's about the next practice, the next game, and never looking too far ahead. So, but no, we're enjoying the season, and just continue to try to get better every single day.
All right, so you got better then in between Colorado and Utah.
Yeah.
You almost had. I want to say to everybody, there was almost a golden goal against Colorado.
Yeah, I mean,
you were real close.
The first half we thought we were okay against Colorado. They put us under pressure. They had a kid with a long throw that was, whipping the thing 40, 45 yards in the air, and so it was difficult to deal with. So they was under pressure for about 30 minutes. But when you look at the chances created within the game, that's still the piece that we need to continue to evolve in, because we're creating the chances. They're tight games right now. And they're all tight games in the Pac-12. You look at the scores across some of the teams. We need to continue to start executing chances.
So you're scoreless then against Utah, going to overtime.
Yeah.
You got yourself a golden goal. Okay, now we're going to do a little film study, okay? We're going to do a little film study. So those of you who are watching with Coach Abel, he can break it down for us, because, Coach, I want to start at the beginning here, because you're able to score on a counterattack, and it was a heck of a pass.
Yeah, I mean, the ball comes out here. Jordan does a good job of getting a hold of it. I mean, that ball there from Zoe, I mean, it's a world-class ball to put in behind. The first touch him out. And then the goalkeeper holds the line initially, which is actually difficult because it now gives you more time. Sometimes time can be the enemy, and then Ali picks a head up and just dinks it over the top. But the composure, like I said, Jordan to lay it off, and then, we know when we play against teams, when we attack, we always have in our mind that we're going to lose the ball, so we have to be set up to kill that type of ball for us against us. But what a ball from Zoe, and this touch right here from Ali. Here comes the keeper, and then just that little dink over the top. That's great composure. And again, there's 2 minutes left on the clock, so there's a bit of pressure there on Ali, but she doesn't show it at all. So
courtesy to Pac-12 Network for the video. And now I want to say, when I was watching, Coach, the camera was so zoomed in on Zoe, you actually couldn't see where Ali was.
Yeah.
I thought, oh no, is she going to be called offsides?
Well,
and she didn't get called offsides. So the reason I bring that up, you touched on it. How perfect of execution is that? One, but then two, that's a world-class pass, right? To be able to execute there.
Yeah, to be able to put it. I mean, you can look. Zoe's probably 107th minute when she's played that. We've played overtime on the Thursday as well. So with the legs and things like that, they hit a ball over that distance and drop it into the space for Ali. That goal was probably born between August and December of last year when we were doing all that work.
Right.
Going between poles and sprinting 50 yards in transition exercises. So that goal right there was born out of that, without a doubt.
So you're playing back-to-back overtime matchups, right? I mean, it's safe to say that this is probably the most mileage that you guys have had, and doing it at altitude, the most mileage you've had in a weekend all year.
It's a tricky weekend because it's the one where you have to fly between.
Right.
As well, you know what I mean? And unless you're at the Washingtons and you decide to fly between Seattle and Pullman, you fly between the two, and so that kind of breaks the trip up. And so it's a tricky trip. I mean, at the mountain schools, it really is. Like you say, dealing with the altitude piece and dealing with two very different teams in terms of style of play, both very effective but very different. And our kids handled it well. I mean, to go in there and get a win and a tie out of that kind of road trip is really well done.
Zoe Hasenauer also is now second all-time in assists at Oregon, and she did it with a little bit of authority there.
One of the developments of her game has been her passing. Just really, really, really good passer of the ball.
And how about the depth of your team? I mean, I talk about the mileage of just everybody having to play. So Lexi Romero, Alice Barbieri, Megan Rooker, Sofia Vinas provided a much-needed lift, I felt like. And Jordan Warmdahl started for you for the first time all year.
Jordan has done tremendously well the last couple of games. She played really well against Colorado, Arizona State. She come off and really affected the game for us, and I just felt as though she deserved that piece and didn't let us down. So it was awesome. But yeah, I mean, we've been able to use players coming off the bench that have been able to affect the game, give us a little bit of bite when we needed it, and it's difficult at times to make those changes just because. We spoke about this at length before. You're looking at aerial presence for set pieces, and you're looking at what type of play you need for which scenario and things like that. But those guys came on; they did excellent.
Yeah, it was fun to watch, Coach. I mean, it's been fun to watch, and now you're back at home, and it's a big time week. So Washington State, a lot of Pac-12 standing implications. Cougs are right above you guys in the standings, and. Well, Coach, these are the ones that matter the most at the end of the year, huh?
These are the fun ones. I mean, when you've got something to play for like this, and it's it's new learning for our kids, and it's awesome. And so we're enjoying every minute of it and enjoying every single day of it.
7 o'clock, everybody. 7 o'clock coming up on Thursday. Washington State is in town. Pac-12, Oregon for the TV broadcast. KWVA, the student radio station, is going to have the radio call coming up. But keys to victory, Coach. What's it going to take?
I mean, listen, they're a good team. I mean, historically, they've done really well. Obviously, I was there at the start of it all when they got going. We're going to create chances. We know that. We've got to make sure we capitalize on our chances. It's between the Colorado game and the I think the Utah game, it was the most chances we created back-to-back games. And then you put the USC game on top of that, where we created multiple chances in that game as well. So we've got to make sure we capitalize on our chances, continue to do what we do on the defending side of the ball, making sure we get pressure in the areas where we need to get pressure just to stop them from being able to serve. They'll be direct. They're a good team. They're very good at what they do. So we need to make sure we can negate that, and then on the attacking side of the ball, do what we need to do.
That's the Cougars in town Thursday at Pape Field, 7 o'clock, and then also 1 o'clock coming up. Washington is in town. It's the Washington schools here. It's a little bit of a rivalry weekend, which is always kind of fun.
Finishing with the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, you're sitting in a good spot, but you got to keep doing what you do. It sounds like.
Exactly.
One practice at a time, one interview at a time. Thanks, Coach.
Anytime.
Appreciate the time, but that was great. The film study, by the way, I love that. Thanks for doing that.
No, that's a first. That's good. I like that.
Well, we didn't warn Coach that we were going to do that to him today, so you were nimble. You were ready
I've watched it about 88 times already to pick it out for the team. So it's good.
So we're easy.
That was no problem. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so note to self: just start getting random clips.
Yeah. If you really want to test me, throw me a random
clip.
See
if we can throw you off your game a little bit. Hey, best of luck this week, and
appreciate it.
Here's to a few more wins, huh?
Hopefully, yeah.
All right. Graeme Abel, Oregon soccer head coach, joining us Thursday, 7 o'clock, Oregon at Pape Field against Washington State, two teams that are right next to each other in those Pac-12 standings. Coming up, the news from around Oregon athletics. A few more things to get to here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear past, present, and future football watchers, football is back! So consider this your official excuse for always putting football watching first, courtesy of Pepsi. That haircut appointment? Seeing the in-laws for the first time in ages.
It's been so long!
Nope, sorry Susan, not if it's on Sunday. Long story short, after the year we've all had, we think you could use a little football watching. So crack open a Pepsi and cheer your football watching face off. With love, Pepsi. Made for football watching. That's what I like.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Jelly. Jelly adjective. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous, as in,
Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
What is dedication?
My daughter started making necklaces. She makes what we call affirmation fashion. I tell her every day that your black is beautiful. And if there's anything better than being beautiful, it's being smart. And if there's anything better than being smart, it's being kind. And reaffirming that every day is our method of making sure her chin never drops.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. My thanks again to Graeme Abel for joining us. Look, the Ducks are in a great place to make postseason, but they got to finish strong, and they got to finish against some rivalry teams like Washington State, Washington, and Oregon State coming up here down the stretch. We begin our Cafe Yum 2-minute drill, of course, with Oregon soccer. Played Colorado to a draw on Thursday. Beat Utah on Sunday with the golden goal, and th're now sitting at 9-2-5, 4-2-2. And I think recovery is a real key for the Ducks this week, especially after playing at altitude, playing a couple overtime matches. Yeah, I think you want to recover well heading into that Thursday 7 o'clock matchup with Washington State here at Pape Field. Oregon volleyball lost to UCLA on Friday, and then it was not looking good against USC on Sunday. But the Ducks found a way. Reverse swept USC for the win. 4 straight wins over USC for Oregon volleyball. All of them have been 5-setters. Ducks just go down to the wire with the Trojans. Women's tennis, the ITA Regionals going on this weekend. 2 double squads advanced. More details, GoDucks.com. And Tahina Paopao, Oregon sophomore guard, one of 20 players named to the preseason watch list for the Nancy Lieberman Award, given annually to the top point guard in the nation. By the way, Will Richardson is on the men's side on the preseason watch list for the Bob Cousy Award, which means that Tahina Paopao and Will Richardson are regarded as 2 of the top 20 point guards in, well, men's basketball and women's basketball. That's pretty cool that they're both playing at Oregon. Paopao coming off a freshman season in which she earned all Pac-12 honors while also being named to the all-freshman team, became just the 5th Oregon player ever to receive first-team all-conference recognition and the first in Sabrina Ionescu and Ruthie Hebert in the 16-17 year. Native of Oceanside, California, led all freshmen nationally and finished 4th overall in the Pac-12 with a 2.4 assist-to-turnover ratio. Tahina Paopao, that's pretty darn cool. It's a 6-day window for finding out kickoff time for Oregon football in Washington, but we do know that Oregon will play Colorado at 12:30 on Fox coming up on Saturday. That's your Cafe Yum 2-minute drill. Cafe Yum restaurants throughout Oregon and Washington. Menus, cafeyum.com. Kayvon Thibodeau, Noah Sewell honored by the Pac-12 with their weekly awards. Verona McKinley's on the Jim Thorpe Award semifinalist list. Pretty good day to be a Duck. Tomorrow, Oregon Athletic Director Rob Mullins is on the show. See you then.
These are the sounds of a dinner that almost didn't happen. A dinner now served, thanks to people like you. Due to COVID-19, 17 million more Americans may face hunger. Feeding America is helping our neighbors in need. And if you're able, you can too. Donations are being accepted at feedingamerica.org/coronavirus. Brought to you by the Ad Council.